Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to Eliyas Explains What's Going On in Palestine. Thank you all for coming. If you'll notice that we are live on YouTube doing this, you'll notice that there's a live chat function as well. Anyone who's listening, if you could put your name and tell us where you're listening from, that would be great because it comes up on our feed and then we can give you a shout out as well. I've got Humayun Salim saying hi already. Thank you, Humayun. If you can tell us where you're listening from, maybe how old you are, where in the world you are, that would be great. We can give you a shout out. I've got myself, Hassan, and let me introduce to you my friend who's also going to be reading the story.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Anila. Hope everyone's well and excited to listen to the story today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I'm very excited. How are you, Anila?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I hope you've all got your hot chocolate, blanket. I hope you're all comfortable. Anila, have you got any drinks with you?
I do, yeah. I have my hot chocolate here.
Oh,
well, it's not mine, it's actually my husband's. So I don't know if you'd be too happy, but yeah, I'm all prepared. Are you? What do you have?
I've also got my hot chocolate. Looking forward. So we've got people from Isa from Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Isa. We've got Salahuddin from Oldham, Zainab from Birmingham, Aris from Birmingham. We've got Faiza from Bristol. We've got Anaya from Accrington. Thank you all for coming. We've got Zainab from Birmingham as well. Welcome everyone. I'm just going to give it another minute or so and let a few more people join. In the meantime, whilst we're doing that, I just want to say salam to everyone who's joining from around the world. We've got people signed up from the USA, Africa, the Middle East, South Asia. It's wonderful to have you all here. Like I said, my name's Hassan, and we've got Anila as well. And we both teach Islamic studies for iAcademy to children like yourselves between the ages of 9 and 17. Our institute is called iAcademy, and we've got lots of students, and I'm sure some of our students have joined us tonight as well. So assalamu alaikum and hello to everyone, all the iAcademy students as well. You can find out more about what we do. You can try getting in touch. You can see just at the bottom of the screen, we've got our Instagram, iAcademy UK, our email, info@iacademy.org.uk, and a phone number just scrolling across the screen as well there. So yeah, check us out. Check out iAcademy. And Anila, anything to add? How are you finding teaching iAcademy?
No, alhamdulillah, it's been so good. And we learn a lot as well, don't we? Like,
yeah,
as you're going on and you're reading through the books, it's things that we forget as well. So it's great, and the children are loving it. Yeah, really, really good. You enjoying it?
Yeah, really good. Getting loads of comments coming in. So Sufyan and Rian Hussein, Fazila from Nuneaton. We've got Syra from Scotland, where me and Anila are both from. So that's nice and exciting, Scotland. Excellent. So why are we here today? Well, today we're going to be reading you a story, Eliyas Explains, from an author called Zainab Mia. She writes loads of other books as well. The Planet Umar books, which you might have seen as well. You might be a little bit confused about or unsure about what's going on in Palestine at the moment. You might be hearing lots of it in the news. You might be hearing family and friends saying something, the news saying something else. So what we wanted to do today is to hopefully try and clarify some of the things around Palestine, give you a little bit of the historical context, and hopefully after today you'll have a better understanding of why lots of people care about Palestine and the history of Palestine and why Palestine is important and why it's important to Muslims as well. Okay. Anila, you ready to get started with the story?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. So, guys, get your hot chocolates, get your blankets, get comfortable, and we will begin the story. Eliyas explains what's going on in Palestine. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Did you know that means peace be with you? So salam is basically greetings of peace. I'm Eliyas. If you've read an Eliyas Explains before, you know me. If you haven't, Here's the quickest way to get to know me so I can tell you everything I learned about Palestine and what's going on there right now. I'm writing this in October 2023, and you're listening in November 2023. This is my face, and some of my body too. I love animals, and because of that, a chicken once pooped in my lap. It was disgusting. I love video games and pizza, and the best day is if I get them both together. I have a sneaky 6-year-old sister called Asia and a sticky 3-year-old little brother called Yusuf. And you can see their pictures there. This is my mum, who makes art to sell online. And this is my dad. He writes books. Chapter 1.
Why is Palestine special? Since last week, everyone was talking about Palestine and Israel. My mum keeps looking at videos on her phone and crying, and my dad keeps getting cross at the TV because they're biased. I knew more about how to build a spacecraft than I did about Palestine, and since it was the number one thing that everyone was talking about, when my family sat around the table to play a card game, instead of being super excited that I was dealt the change colours card and then make someone pick up 4 cards, I asked Mum and Dad, what's going on in Palestine? Mum and Dad had the kind of expressions they have when they know they have to do something, but it's not going to be easy to do. Sort of like when they're trying to wash Yusuf's hair. He hates water on his head. Mum sighed, put her cards down on the table and said, things have once again kicked off. And this time, everyone's paying attention. But the story of the occupation of Palestine is a story that goes way back in time. But then Dad said, actually, let's start by telling them about when the prophets built Masjid al-Aqsa in Palestine, a land that is mentioned in the Quran at least 6 times because it is blessed. Oh, of course, said Mum. Al-Aqsa is the only masjid mentioned in the Quran by name, apart from Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. It's in Jerusalem, which is also a holy place to Jews and Christians. Prophet Ibrahim built Al-Aqsa, then Prophet Daud started rebuilding it, and Prophet Suleiman finally completed the building of Masjid al-Aqsa. It's really special. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, do not go on a journey to visit any mosque, but these 3. This mosque of mine, which is in Medina, Masjid al-Haram, which is in Mecca, and the Masjid of Al-Aqsa. Oh, wait, I said, that's where the Prophet, peace be upon him, went on Isra wal Mi'raj, the night's journey, when he flew on the Buraq and then went up to the heavens and talked to Allah. That's my favourite story, Asia said. But you missed out the bit about the Prophet leading all the other prophets in Salah at Al-Aqsa. She stuck her tongue out at me. Yes, that's right, Mum smiled. So you understand how special Al-Aqsa is to Muslims? Dad nodded. The reward for praying there is 500 times more than praying anywhere else, other than at the Kaaba and the Prophet's Mosque in Medina. So there's 3 special places for Muslims: the masjid where the Kaaba is, the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, and Al-Aqsa. I said, smart, winked Dad. Exactly right. Okay, so that's all the way back to the Prophet's time. But what's going on there in our times? I asked, still bursting to know. Asia screwed up her face with curiosity and sat on the edge of her seat, waiting to hear. Chapter 2.
Occupation of Palestine. Get comfortable. My parents told us lots of stuff and none of it is nice. Mum began, well, in our times, Palestine has been occupied by the state of Israel. What does that mean? Asia said, screwing up her nose in confusion. I've only ever heard that word for toilets, not a country, I said. How is a country occupied? Mum smiled as she realized she wouldn't be able to explain anything until we understand that. It's when the military, you mean an army, I interrupted. Yes, army, navy, all those things, Dad said. So, it's when the military of a country takes control of the land of another country, Mum finished. And you see, Palestine is under the control of the Israeli army, which it does not belong to. And under that occupation, the Palestinian people have suffered horrific attacks. They've had their homes and land stolen, and the people in Gaza have been under siege for 17 years with their water, electricity, and freedom controlled. They cannot leave. They do not have basic human rights. That's not fair, I protested, bouncing off my seat. Why doesn't somebody do something? Are they even allowed to do that? Of course not, Dad shook his head. The occupation of Palestine has been recognized by international law as an illegal occupation. And Jewish-only settlements built on stolen Palestinian land have also been recognized as illegal. Wait. So is this a Jews vs Muslims thing? I asked. No, definitely not. It's the government of Israel that is guilty of all this against the Palestinians. Many Jewish people are also against what Israel does. There are many Jewish activists, that is people that support the rights of the Palestinians, and historians who wrote about what happened in the past. The Jewish religion is against all of the horrors that have been happening. There are also many Christian Palestinians, Dad explained. Oh, okay. Phew, that's good. Because Ruben in my class is Jewish, and I really like him, I said. That's great, sweetie, Mum smiled. You have to remember that being against what the Israeli government does and supporting the Palestinians does not mean being against Jewish people. Jews are the believers of the Torah, which was given to Musa alayhi salam. And as you know, we believe he was Allah's messenger. So, hating the actions of Israel's government does not mean, and it does not equal, hating Jewish people. Just then, Yusuf launched his blueberry yogurt against the wall, mostly because nobody was giving him any attention. Mum screamed and ran to clean it up. Yusuf had a very satisfied grin on his face. But Asia and I were glued to Dad, asking him more questions about Palestine. Chapter 3.
The Nakba and Apartheid. Dad told us that in 1948, Israel's military forced 800,000 Palestinians to leave their homes and run for their lives. 800,000 people is a massive number. If 800,000 people stood in a line, the line would go from my house in London all the way to Edinburgh in Scotland. If 800,000 people stood in a straight line, it would go almost all the way across the UK. That's how many people were forced to leave their land, and they're not allowed to come back, even now. Kind of reminds me of when I saw a kid in my class getting bumped off his seat by one of the mean kids. The smaller kid just flew off the chair before the big kid sat on him. So yeah, at that time, 450 villages were wiped out and around 15,000 Palestinians were killed. This is called the first catastrophe, the Nakba. And then in 1967, Israel launched another war and occupied Gaza and the West Bank too. They invaded Jerusalem, they marched into the Holy Al-Aqsa complex and took control. So here is Gaza on the left-hand side. 2.3 million people live in that little tiny space. For 17 years, the people here have been completely locked in. They can't come and go, and their electricity and water is controlled. This means they can't get enough food and fuel, and people are very poor here. Lots of kids under 18 live here, and that's almost half the population. On the right-hand side, we can see the West Bank, and this is where Jewish-only settlements have been built. And then below that, we can see Jerusalem, where Al-Aqsa is controlled by Israeli forces. $300,000 more Palestinians lost their homes in 1967. I figured out I would need 6,000 lunchboxes to fit 300,000 marbles. Basically, the Palestinian people have suffered a lot for the past 75 years. I don't know about you, but I think they're like superheroes. They're definitely the strongest people in the world. At school, we learned about Nelson Mandela and how he is a hero for fighting apartheid in South Africa. My teacher told me that apartheid is when some people are treated differently when they live in the same place because of their race. There are different laws for them. When Nelson Mandela started fighting against apartheid, they chucked him in jail and called him a terrorist. And now, like I said, we learn about him at school because everyone knows that he was a hero. And this is what he had to say. But we know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And guess what? Dad told me all these important and fancy guys have rightly accused Israel of being an apartheid state too. We have Amnesty International, we have Human Rights Watch, a UN expert, and believe it or not, even a former head of Israel's own intelligence agency. But hang on a second, hold up. What is the UN? Well, it's an organisation with almost all the countries in the world. They try to find peaceful ways for countries to sort out stuff they disagree on, and if fighting does break out, sometimes they send in troops to stop it. They stand for human rights and they help countries which have been in war. By the way, I found out that Israel has a very powerful military with all sorts of defences and tanks and an intelligence agency called Mossad, which is their version of the CIA, to stop the Palestinians from resisting the occupation. But the Palestinians don't have the money to have all of that. So if they do try to stand up for themselves and a fight breaks out, it's a really, really unfair fight. It's like a giant, powerful robot against a toaster. Yep. So Assie and I learnt all of that, and then Mum got back from cleaning the blueberry yogurt off the wall. She'd been listening to Dad filling us in and said, it's time to talk about what's going on right now. Chapter 4.
What's going on in Palestine? The cards we didn't even start playing were still on the table. Asia chewed the edge of one and was all ears. So was I. Super, of course. Mum said, and now that you have a bit of an understanding, let's talk about what is happening in Palestine right now. Mum said, throughout the years, since the occupation, the Palestinians have tried to resist. They have tried all the ways they can think of, sometimes peacefully, like marching, and sometimes with force. This time, it was with force. So there has been violence in Israel and in Palestine. People on both sides have suffered, and the world is watching. Most of the world doesn't know about the decades of suffering the Palestinians under the occupation, but they are learning. The world is watching now as Israel is committing war crimes against the Palestinian people. The Israeli government have completely shut off water, food, fuel, electricity, and medicine. Everything humans need to live. And they are launching bombs, destroying Gaza and the people in it. Thousands of people have already been killed, and more than 1 million have had to leave their homes and run to other parts of Gaza. But they can't leave. They are thirsty, they are hungry, and even if they're injured, they can't be treated. Even hospitals and churches are being bombed. These are war crimes, and these actions are breaking international laws. It's inhumane. It's unthinkable. Asia looks scared, so Dad cuddled her close to him. People are dead? She cried. They've gone to their homes in paradise with Allah, sweetie. Allah tells us not to think of them as dead. They're alive in a way which we can't see. But Allah is giving them all that they need, Dad explained. I felt absolutely sick in my stomach, like I was going to throw up. I can't imagine humans doing this to each other. I went and sat closer to Mum, and she pulled my head towards her and stroked my hair. Look, I know it's hard to find out that terrible things like this happen in the world, but I want you to know that Allah gives them so much strength, and He is with them. Remember Musa alayhi salam's story? When the Pharaoh's wife was being oppressed because she went against him and believed in Allah? Well, Allah comforted her by showing her her name in paradise, and she smiled. Allah is always with the oppressed, and He knows what is best and how things will work out in the end, she said. Just then, Dad stood up enthusiastically with a smile, a completely different mood. I'll tell you what we can do. Chapter 5.
So, what can we do? Dad told us that as Muslims, we are taught to stand up for people who are being oppressed. That's people whose rights are being taken away and are being treated unfairly. We should feel bad about it, no matter who the oppressed people are: Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists, anyone. Like, when you see someone being bullied in the playground, there's a really uncomfortable feeling in your heart. You don't like it. It's horrible. And you wish you could do something to stop it. That's why there have been peaceful protests in many countries around the world to support Palestine and show our governments that we want Israel to stop the war crimes and we want the occupation to end. Hundreds of thousands of people have been marching on the streets in their cities because most humans are good and they can't stand by quietly and watch such a big injustice take place. Most humans know that violence like this doesn't solve anything. Most humans want it to end. I know what you're all thinking. Why don't all humans want it to end? I'm thinking the same. Anyway, here's what you can do. Firstly, and most importantly, you can talk to Allah from the heart. He is all powerful, mighty, loving, and just. Ask Allah to help the oppressed wherever they are. Ask Allah to send His miracles. Your du'as are the most powerful thing that you can do. Here's other things that you can do as well.
With your parents, you can write to your government. This could be your local MP in the UK, or your representatives and senators in the USA, or whoever you are, you can reach out to in the government. These are the people that can help decide what the leaders in our country can do. It's like talking to your teacher when you see someone has been bullied for years and you want to help them.
With your parents, you can go to a peaceful protest for Palestine. Imagine how the Palestinians feel when they hear of millions of people standing with them. It helps them to really stay strong.
Also, you can tell people what you've learned here. Share this with them. We need everyone to know about what is happening so they can also have the courage to stop what's happening, like you do.
In the UK and the USA, wear a badge or sticker with the Palestinian flag to show your support for the Palestinians, even when it's not on the news anymore. Check with your parents though before wearing one to school. If you live in other countries, like France or Germany, ask your adults about wearing a flag.
Also, you can be creative. Design and make keyrings, jewellery, t-shirt, paintings, mock-up Al-Aqsa designs, or anything you want in support of Palestine, and explain what's happening. You could even sell them, with some of the proceeds going to help Palestinians in Gaza, or make a little bit of pocket money in the process.
Give money and charity to Gaza. Get creative with ways to raise money. You could get people to sponsor you for something or auction some artwork. You might have guessed, nobody played cards. We packed them up and got to painting some awesome pictures of Al-Aqsa and the Palestinian flag. I'm selling mine for £800,000, the same number as the people of Palestine who lost their home country in 1948. Let me know if you want to buy it. All the money is going to Gaza.
Thank you for listening, everyone. That's Eliyas explains what's going on in Palestine. I hope you learned lots of things listening to that. I hope you enjoyed listening. Hope you finished your hot chocolate. I learned a lot listening to Anila's chapters. Anila, how was that for you?
It was great. Enjoyed it. I also learned so much as well. Did you enjoy it, Hassan? Yeah?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. We're getting lots of comments in as well. Lots of people from all over the world.
What some countries? Name some countries that we're getting.
So we've got people from Scotland. We've got people from Canada. We have got people from all over England, which is absolutely brilliant to see. So, yeah, thank you to everyone for listening. Maybe if you can tell me your name, your age, and where you're from, that'd be great, and I can give people some shout outs. Zainab Mia, who's the author of Eliyas, What's Going On in Palestine, she has some more books as well, a whole series of Eliyas Explained. So if you want to follow iAcademy on Instagram at iAcademy UK, or you could email and phone in. Again, all those details are going across the bottom of the screen. We'll hopefully be doing more of these series, and we'll be reading some more Eliyas Explains. He's got a whole series on angels. He's got a series on a whole range of things that hopefully I'd be really excited to do again. Anila, would you join me?
Oh, 100%, yep. Up for it all the time.
Excellent. Right, guys, before we go, I just want to share some ideas about what you can do for Palestine coming up. So just bear with me. I'm just going to share my screen again. Excellent. So hopefully everybody can see that. What can you do to help Palestine? Well, first and foremost, if you are Muslim, as Muslim, we can fulfill our rights by praying our 5 daily prayers. And that will give you the opportunity to make lots of dua for the Palestinian people and for the people of Gaza, especially. Okay, we can pray for their safety, pray for their health, pray that God gives them courage, and pray for the Palestinians who have unfortunately lost their lives as well. Okay. You can learn, you can educate yourselves about the history and the conflict and the importance of Masjid al-Aqsa. This book that we've been reading is online. So if you search it on Google, you'll be able to find Eliyas Explains as a PDF, and you can read it and you can share it with other people. You can attend demonstrations. Peaceful demonstrations. I know there's lots going on around this weekend as well in many cities around the UK and many cities around the world. You can donate generously and raise money if possible. I know Eliyas gave you loads of ideas, and I know what he wanted to do: paint pictures, make placards, make jewellery, whatever creative ways you can think of to make money. Obviously ask your parents first. And again, you can always ask Allah by making dua. Okay. If you want to know a special dua that you can make, here is one here. Okay, so this is a dua that you can make for the people of Palestine. It goes, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, and it means Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best protector. Okay, so you can say Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. It's very short, you can learn that. And it means, or if you want, you can say in English, Allah is sufficient for us and He is the best protector. Okay? It is really important to show children the strength of dua and dhikr and to trust Allah at all times. Make dua often for yourself and your loved ones and those who are suffering around the world. Okay? And there's a hadith that says the believers are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffers, the whole body responds to it with wakefulness and fever. Okay? Meaning that when people are suffering somewhere in the world, other people can feel that pain as well, and we can be empathetic and we can be compassionate and we can show that we care by making dua and all the things that we've just said. Yeah? Excellent. Okay. So just before we go, Anila, I'm just going to tell you all the things that I'm seeing online and all the people that I can see. So we've got Amar Khan from Scotland. Thank you very much for listening. Harun Manir from Pakistan, all the way from Pakistan. That's crazy. We've got Medea from Glasgow, which is very close to myself and Anila's heart. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for listening. We hope you really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I'm sure Anila had a great time too.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. We hope you learned something, and please, please, please pray for the Palestinian people. Okay? Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.